When was the last time you heard that a house in a neighborhood near you got on fire? Think back to how you felt. Most probably, you felt the sadness, the loss, and the hopelessness that those people felt, and you wanted to comfort them. Most likely, you donated things and money to help them get back on their feet. The feeling that you felt for them, and in many other cases, when you hear the loss or pain of others, is what we call as empathy. Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Dr. Ilavarasi Joseph and I make educational videos on topics in neuroscience. Today, we are going to discuss about empathy, understand what it means and how our brain processes it. This is going to be a series of videos, so please make sure to subscribe this channel so you do not miss those videos. Empathy not only allows us to feel the pain of others, but it also makes us feel happy for others' success. Although empathy is a complex process involving a set of socio-emotional competencies, it can be simply defined as our ability to put ourselves in other person's shoes. This ability to perceive, to share, and to understand others' emotional or affective states is important for successfully navigating the social world. Evolutionarily and developmentally, empathy underlies the most meaningful of human interactions, from the bonding between the mother and the child to complex prosocial behaviors that are ultimately needed for our survival. Mammals are born helpless and are dependent on mothers for food, fighting against diseases early on, for keeping warm, and for protection from predators. If a mother fails to recognize the needs of her baby, it won't be able to survive. So the mother's empathy towards her newborn's need and her ability to take care of them is what determines whether the baby thrives and grows up to carry on the parent's genes or die and be the end of the genetic line. In neuroscience, empathy is broadly classified into two types: cognitive empathy, which is the ability to imagine and understand the emotions and motives of others, and the ability to be consciously aware of their thoughts, intentions, and desires. In simple words, it is to say, I understand what you feel. Imagine one of your friends going through a breakup. You know that they are hurting, but because you are able to see the bigger picture, you also know that they are a very good person and attractive enough to be able to find someone soon. But if you are practicing cognitive empathy, you would totally understand what kind of loss that they are going through and how hurt and sad they are. You will practice imagining what it might be like to be them at that moment, looking at the situation from their perspective. On the other hand, affective or emotional empathy is the ability to respond to the observed emotions of others or to share a fellow feeling. That is, to say to someone, I feel what you feel, like in the case of the house fire or in any other situations of loss and pain. Emotional empathy involves emotional recognition, emotional contagion, and the sharing of pain. Due to the advances in the imaging techniques such as functional magnetic resonance imaging and transcranial magnetic stimulation, scientists are beginning to unravel the neural circuits that support empathy and empathetic concern. When it comes to affective empathy, scientists noticed activity in the areas of frontoparietal cortex and temporal cortex. They also saw activity in the amygdala, which controls emotions, basal ganglia that controls movement, and other subcortical regions. Cognitive empathy was associated with the activation of neural systems involved in cognitive control and decision making, such as the cingulate cortex, prefrontal cortex, and the temporal cortex areas. Interestingly, emotional empathy develops earlier than cognitive empathy, as cognitive empathy involves higher levels of cognitive functioning. Non-human primates and pre-verbal humans attempt to ease the distress of others, thereby showing emotional contagion and prosocial behavior. Very young children show empathetic concern to others well before they were able to articulate their understanding verbally. Scientists test for prosocial or helping behavior By placing an object out of reach of an experimenter but within the reach of the test subject, the subject watches the experimenter try to reach for the object without any success. The question is whether the subject will hand the object to the experimenter even though the subject gains no reward by doing so. When they did this experiment with chimpanzees and young infants, chimpanzees handed the object to the experimenter in about 40% of the trials. Human infants did slightly better by helping in about 60% of the trials. Those children and chimpanzees that had helped in the test were then tested on the same task, but this time with physical objects placed between them and the object, adding to the cost of helping. Just over half of the subjects of both species helped, even when helping required significant effort without getting anything in return, proving the need to be helpful is intrinsically present in primates. But emotional empathy has not only been documented in primates, but also in a number of mammalian species, including rodents. For example, a mouse that sees another mouse receiving food shock freezes in place. In another example, a pair of mice receiving an unpleasant stimulus showed more pain than a single mouse receiving the same stimulus. These studies show that emotional contagion of pain is present in rodents. In 2011, a group of researchers from University of Chicago conducted a series of experiments that beautifully illustrated empathy and prosocial behavior in rats. The experimental setup is this. A rat is entrapped in a plastic tube in the center of an arena, and outside the tube is the second rat that is free to roam the arena. The restrainer door can only be opened from the outside, that is by the free rat. By the first few sessions, most of the rats consistently began to open the door, releasing the trapped rat. By the end of this session, most of the rats opened the door within the first few minutes. This is remarkable since rats are highly averse to open spaces and tend to keep to the walls of the arena. The motivation to free the trapped rats is so high that these rats overcame this aversion to open spaces and went to the center of the arena to free the trapped rats. It is expected that the free rat might feel some of the distress felt by the trapped rat due to emotional contagion. Rats, just like in the case of mice, freeze or become immobilized when under personal stress. The free rats in this test, however, did not freeze. Instead, they went to open the door to free the trapped rat on their own will. This behavior points to the idea that the helper rats are able to distinguish between the pain that came from self and the other rat, which is really remarkable. The scientists also used the same experimental model to show that helping is socially selective. What does it mean? Rats will help a perfectly stranger rat only if that stranger rat belongs to the familiar strain. In other words, an albino rat will not open the door for a black rat stranger. However, when the albino rat was raised with the black rats, then the albino will readily help a black rat stranger. And interestingly, an albino rat that was raised since birth among the black rats will not open the restrainer door for an albino stranger, although they will still help a black stranger. The results from these experiments show that the rats do not inherit genetic instructions to help rats of their own kind. Instead, social environment and group affiliation plays a crucial role in deciding who they will help, showing that there is a strong biological basis for groupism, and when it comes to nature versus nurture, in empathy, clearly nurture wins. If this is true, then it makes much more sense that humans tend to form strong bonds with groups of people that share same social interest. Think about the last time in the office party that you bonded with your colleagues who were in the same random group of red or blue team while you all worked together towards the common goal of winning the game, or how easily you empathized with someone who had the same interest in the sports team that you like, or when you met someone who went to the same college like you. Indeed, this need to find common interest among ourselves is so strong that if you recall, Small children always tend to ask questions to each other. What is your favorite color? What is the food that you like? Do you like this cartoon character? Before deciding whether they can be friends. In summary, I want you to remember these two things about empathy. Empathy is willing to put work and spend energy to help others even if there is no reward. And it doesn't really care what race you are, only that you share a social experience that binds you all together. In the next video, I will share with you about parochial empathy. If you liked this video and found this to be interesting and useful, please do click the like button, subscribe button, and share this video with your friends and family. And please do share your thoughts and comments. Till next time, take care.